I know that Yara Trams is the biggest in the world, the biggest tram network. How big is it?
We've got about 475 trams in service, and it is the largest network in the world, 250 kilometers of double track. It covers all of Melbourne's CBD, and it goes out into the suburbs as well.
Wow, that's massive. But how good is it? I mean, you're here all the time. Is it a pretty good system?
Oh, it's fantastic. You can come into the city through the train, and it's connected. The central business district is free. There's a tram every couple of minutes as we are standing here. At least 4 trams have passed us, and everyone uses it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Now, I've noticed there's some older trains as well as newer trains. Tell me about the rolling stock. What's happening there?
We've got a heritage tram that runs across the city, which is one of the older trams. And there is new rolling stock that is coming in. Out of the 475, I think we've got most of it upgraded, and next year there's going to be more upgrades to the rolling stock with really advanced trams.
So as a rail technology leader, haven't you been involved in some of this new upgraded technology that's coming here?
Yes. We've been involved in installing and deploying our AVLC technology, which is tram location technology across the entire Yara Trams fleet.
Well, welcome to Transit Systems Victoria, Paul.
Thanks.
You're enjoying the weather here.
Oh, it is great, man. I love being here. So tell us about what you guys do here, John.
So here at Transit Systems Victoria, we operate 200 buses out of this single site in West Footscray. We're certainly spoilt for space. We've got 46,000 square metres here.
Wow.
There's currently 360 staff at this one site. Out of the 200 buses, 100 of those are government route service buses, and the other 100 buses are general charter buses. So we've got a real dynamic here of revenue streams and work streams.
So John, how are you situated for drivers here?
I'd like to say that we've been lucky here, but I think it's a strategy that the leadership group and I always had in place when we started here. The leadership group, the majority of them have been here for less than 3 years, and coming out of COVID, there was definitely issues around any sort of workforce, whether they were drivers or not, and we agreed that our strategy had to be to become the employer of choice. That was the only way we're going to solve that problem. So part of that strategy was we had to try and identify who would be the best recruiter for our business. And we quickly worked out that the best recruiter is the person already in the lunchroom. So we genuinely think that our business is about people. They're the ones at the coalface of everything we do. And I think we've found that balance between the commercial realities of running a bus company and having enough emotional intelligence and empathy to engage with a workforce that is inspiring. So I think the measure of our success as a leadership group and a company, I think comes down to retention. We've got an enormous retention rate here that's almost 100%. It's very uncommon for someone to leave the business here. We've probably got 24 people that are waiting to join. And I think that's a reflection on what we provide here as a business. Our business is about people.
That's great. And so you've got people here who want to be here. They share your values of putting the passenger first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got an obligation as a public transport provider to grow the patronage on the bus. It's a great service. We want people to use it. And the only way we can get more people on it is to make sure that they have a great customer experience.
That's great. Emilio, great to see you, my friend. Yeah, that's good. So I hear that you as the trainer are in charge of a program, Hidden Disability Sunflower Program. That sounds very good. Tell me about that some.
Yes, it is. The Sunflower Program, it's all about hidden disabilities, which started at Gatwick Airport in London. We became a member of this organisation because we're extremely interested in it. And it's about, the sunflower part of it is about people with hidden disabilities. These lanyards that we're wearing is part of it that the drivers in our organisation wear, and the person with the disability, the hidden disability, would be wearing a dark green one.
Okay.
And if they spot the lanyard, then they know that this person might come up to them and ask, can we help you or can we assist? Because a hidden disability could be someone that's socially a little bit awkward. It could be someone that doesn't want to be verbal problems. So
Right.
they know that they can trust the driver because they've been trained in hidden disabilities, and that's what it's about.
So tell us about how you actually train the operators and the drivers in this program.
It's quite simple. We put them through a training program in class in our training room, and we showed the actual video that came from Hidden Disability Sunflower in the UK, and we go through the process, and we also discuss with that disability awareness and all this type of thing, and that's basically how we train them. It's not a difficult thing. It's certainly an eye-opener for people that are not aware of disabilities, in particular the hidden disabilities. If you can't see them, you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. Samuel, I love your hydrogen buses, man. These are great.
Yes, it's very interesting and nice to be at the forefront of technology.
Absolutely.
So these two buses just here, they're actually built by a company called ARC. They're located in New South Wales. The chassis on them are actually fully aluminium and takes about 2 tonne in weight off the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long can you run on one charge of one of these vehicles now?
Usually we have to do a fuel on them every 3rd day, and they can stay on road for about 16 hours a day.
16 hours a day, 3 days with one fueling.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, and compared to some of the other vehicles, it's outstanding as far as on-time running.
So, talking transit here, huh? This is the name of your company, Transit Systems.
Yeah, so you're at Transit Systems Victoria at the moment, but Transit Systems Victoria is part of the Calcium Group, which is a top 200 ASX listed company.
Yes.
We're the largest bimodal transport operator in Australia. We're also in the US, Singapore, the UK. It's enormous. I think our employees are upwards of 10,000 now.
Wow.
But here in Victoria, we operate 200 buses. It's a mixture of government route service buses and general charter buses.
I love Australia, I got to tell you that. Tell us about your transit association here.
So the Public Transport Association of Australia and New Zealand actually includes all government departments across the region, and it's really led by the government authorities to make sure that their vision is realized in the region.
And what is that vision?
So one part of it is that Australia has very ambitious net zero goals, and we've actually seen from research that if you move 30% of people from driving to public and active transport, you can actually achieve our net zero obligations with that change alone.
And what would you say the state of public transportation is here in Australia? We're out of the pandemic now, we're on to what's happening right now, what do you see for the future?
Well, the really cool thing is that we have the biggest public transport investment that we've ever seen in our history. And so now we're seeing the finalization of some of these major projects that are tens of billions of dollars, and they're being realized and being operationalized so you can use them. So over the next few months, you'll actually be able to come out of Sydney Metro and see how cities are transformed by public transport.
Thanks. Well, I know they got the right person leading the association in you with all that energy and experience. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do next.
Oh, thanks so much.
Jamie, you're the president of the Emerging Mobility Leaders Program. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. I'm the chair of the Emerging Mobility Leaders Program. We were formed in 2021 as a committee under the PTA ANZ, so the Public Transport Association Australia and New Zealand. And our role is to champion and platform young and emerging professionals in the public transport industry.
That's great. And what's your job currently?
Currently, I'm the chair, but I've been on the committee since 2021. And it's been an absolute privilege and an honour to have been there as a contributing member and now sort of graduate into the chair position, leading the group, and then graduate out.
That's great. And do you all have any projects you're working on now?
Yeah, we do. So we do a series of webinars and site tours with a lot of member organisations. The thing we're most proud of is our biannual seminar. So it's a seminar that's designed by emerging professionals for emerging professionals. And our next one will be early 2026.
Very good. I'm passionate about bringing young people into our industry. I really think it's an important part of the function of us older folks, let's say over the 40 crowd, is to cultivate younger people to coming in. And do you all play a role in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're very lucky to have great membership and mentorship from member organisations, but we also have members and mentors who advocate for us and champion for us, and that includes giving a platform to get up and speak. So that's really important, as well as that mentorship.
Jamie, tell me about the diversity of the type of jobs that are represented.
Yeah, absolutely. So our group is diverse in terms of geographic location across Australia and New Zealand, as well as experience and education. So we have planners, we have engineers, we have project managers, we have people who work in comms, and we really think that diversity of experience and education and thought is kind of the future of our industry. So we're happy to cultivate it.
Now, if I'm a young person, let's say maybe one of my kids in their 20s, what would be your pitch to them why they should get involved in the public transportation industry?
Public transport is social justice, and particularly if you're young, if you're in your 20s, I imagine, really believe in sustainability and lowering emissions, and we're a big industry that could have a big part in that. So yeah, that's why I'd say get on board, because we're the future.
Hey, Savo, thanks for having us here at Kinetic's Operations Center. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
So we're looking at Kinetic's Operations Centre, which is basically the heart of our operation here. So with 540 buses out on the road, the team here manages them in real time. So anything from basically lost property to any major incidents or accidents.
That's great. And what happens inside here?
So the team is connected basically to the bus and the bus driver via two-way radio. So they're there to provide assistance, advice, and manage the on-time running and the overall timetable.
And tell us some about your operational performance statistics, your on time, etc.
So we operate at 90%, slightly above 90% on time, and given the challenging traffic conditions in Melbourne, we're very proud of the figure. So battling with the traffic and the the amount of construction work that's taking place right now, definitely something we're proud of.
Well, this is great, Dr. Currie. Thank you so much for having me here at Monash University. You and I have been friends for years and in Melbourne. Tell me what we're doing tonight.
So this is the welcome event to a public transport training course we've been doing every year around the world.
That's great. And what are they doing here behind us?
Well, as part of the welcome event, we get everybody to meet each other by playing a game devised by Professor from TU Delft here. Explain who you are.
Yes.
I'm Niels from TU Delft, and indeed we developed this serious game to think about the future of transport and to find the optimal mix of modes connecting to the societal goals we want to achieve.
And the game has 3 different sets of cards, right? What do you explain it to me real quickly?
Yeah, so we start with finding the target group. Who are you targeting with your transport system specifically? Is it elderly, young people, adults, etc.? Then in the second round, we find the optimal mix of modes. So what do you like to have in your city? Bicycles, cars, public transport, or anything? And then in the third round, the red cards, we have to discuss about policy interventions like what are your fare prices, what is your parking strategy, and what is your urban planning strategy, for instance.
So you're turning these students kind of into urban planners.
Yes, urban planners and transport planners, I would say, at the same time.
That's great.
And that's the whole purpose of the course.
Okay.
And they're interacting with each other and debating the issues just like we have to do in the real world.
That's awesome. So these are all like master's level students?
Well, no, there's a mix of students
Okay.
and also real planners. We've got quite a lot of consultants here. We even have some overseas visitors from the Asian Development Bank who are coming to learn about the practical side of interface between academic work and real world planning.
This is awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me here, guys. This is going to be fun. So, Tom, tell me about all this.
Yeah, so this my name's Tom. I'm General Manager for Kinetic Melbourne, and I guess Kinetic is a company. We're sort of Australasia's largest bus operator. We're at Sunshine West Depot today, which is one of our 6 depots in Melbourne, one of our 2 electric depots currently. And in Melbourne specifically, we operate 6 depots. So we operate the Metropolitan Bus franchise, which is about 30% of Melbourne's network. And we've recently been awarded another franchise under the Metropolitan Zero Emissions Bus franchise, which will see another 50 zero emission buses coming into the Kinetic fleet within the next 4 to 5 years.
Tom, I love this. You got your KPIs up here for your drivers. Tell us about what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this board here is where we display our sort of accident hotspots. So a lot of the runs here go into Melbourne city centre, and the idea for this is for the drivers to see the last month or last 2 months worth of data where we're having the most incidents. So actually they know to be more aware when they're in that area. And sometimes we'll put in sort of pictures of what it might be. It could be a tree that's overhanging the roads.
Yes.
Or just a potential tail swing incident that's happening at a certain location. So. Hopefully with awareness we can reduce the number of accidents that we're having. So under the canopies here is where we have all of our electric vehicle chargers. We've got 24 dispensers on site, so we will have 25 electric vehicles on this site from next month. We use Siemens UC200 chargers, so they are capable, or the dispensers are capable of charging up to 5 vehicles at a time through sequential charging. And we don't really charge the vehicles during the day, so from near empty to full it takes probably just over 3 hours. So once all the vehicles arrive back in the evening, they charge up overnight and they're ready to go for the morning.
Hi Paul, welcome to Hobart. It's great to have you here.
This is beautiful, Katie.
We have turned the weather on for you down here at the waterfront in Hobart today.
Thank you. Katie, speaking of the waterfront, I mean, this is a great place to host the big conference here, the bus conference. For somebody like me, the first time I'm here coming, what's a great place or a couple places we could visit?
There's a lot to do here in Hobart, and even just within 15 or 20 minutes we've got Richmond, which is a quaint little town that's great to have a walk around, but really importantly it's actually in a wine region that you can actually stop and have some beautiful wines and some great chocolates and even some cheese, and that's all within about 15 or 20 minutes of the city, and that's always a great day out. Here in the city we've got a lot of heritage that you can have a wander around. There's Port Arthur a little bit further down the coast if you want a day trip that's incredibly historic, particularly based on the convict heritage of Australia. So if you're interested in history, that's another great thing to do.
That's awesome. Well, tell us about Metro Tasmania, the transit system here.
Metro Tasmania is the largest Tasmanian-owned public transport provider here in the state, and we operate in Hobart, Burnie and Launceston, and we operate buses. So really we are a bus state, so that's why it's really exciting that Bic is here with us, because this is what we do and what we do well. We have about 550 staff who service all the community around the areas that we operate, and it's great to be able to help people connect from where they go, you know, to go to school, to go to work, to go home, to go see friends and family, or perhaps just get their groceries.
That's great. What kind of big projects do you have going on here?
Metro Tasmania is actually running a couple of really exciting projects at the moment, both on zero emission bus trials. So we're in our northern depot in Launceston. We're operating a battery electric bus trial to help us determine how the battery electric buses operate in our environment. And down here in Hobart, we're about to commence a hydrogen electric bus trial, which we're operating down here. So in our Mornington yard, we're going to be starting imminently with actually running some hydrogen buses, so we can compare both technologies simultaneously. Clearly that will help us with our investment decisions going forward, and that's been supported with the Tasmanian government. So really excited to see the results of that over the coming years.
Katie, I recently got to interview Andy Lord, the Commissioner of Transport for London. You and he have something in common. You both have a strong background in aviation. You ran the Melbourne airport, right?
Yes, so I was running operations at Melbourne Airport prior to coming here, and I've worked in the UK and had airlines and airports, so extensive aviation experience.
And that's interesting to me. Tell me about kind of like, you know, similarities, differences, and what you bring from the aviation industry to public transport.
There's a lot of similarities between aviation and public transport. The concept of a route that an airline flies is very similar to a route that a bus or a train will operate through. The catchment areas that you're using for your pedestrian or for your passengers or for passengers in both forms is very, very similar. The concepts are the same in the sense that it's about on-time efficiency, it's about safety, it's about moving people and goods as quickly and as safely as we can from point A to point B. So those similarities are very clear. And I think one of the things that aviation do incredibly well, and I think public transport do as well, but really is that safety focus about how do you keep the travelling public safe. And obviously there's some differences working on a road versus working in the air. One of the things that I like about the Tasmanian market is we're all in one time zone. So compared to perhaps working in an international aviation environment, slightly less complex in some respects, but very enjoyable to be able to really help the communities in which we serve. And that's what both industries are about.
Howard, great to be with you.
Thank
Here
you
in
very
Hobart,
much.
we're meeting at the bus conference.
And it's a beautiful day in Tasmania, isn't it?
It
I mean,
is
it's
a great day.
It almost feels warm, which is great for Hobart.
Yes, yeah. So you and I have been pals for a while. Tell us about what you do there in Sydney, Australia, at the biggest city in Australia.
Well, I have the grand title of Coordinator General, but generally I coordinate. And really that's responsible for the day-to-day operation of bus, ferries, light rail, and coordinating all of public transport in the short term, but also the medium term as well.
Okay, and what modes, and tell us about the system itself in Sydney.
Well, Sydney used to be a car-centric city in the 50s, 60s, almost like a mini American city.
Okay.
But it has transformed, and we're now seeing a brand new metro just opened, $20 billion Australian dollars worth of investment there, right through the heart of the city. It feels like Hong Kong and Singapore or the Elizabeth line in London.
Wow.
We've got a brand new investment, $4 billion in new electric buses and electric infrastructure because we want to electrify. We have some of the oldest diesel buses in the world.
Okay.
And we want to improve that. And I think the other thing is light rail. You know, this ability to transform cities. George Street used to be lined by 40 or 50 buses in each direction. It was a terrible place to live and breathe. Now, with the trams going up George Street down to our famous circular quay, you get a beautiful experience with a tram every 3 or 4 minutes. That is expanding. We've not only got L1, L2, L3 now out in Parramatta, one of our biggest cities out of the west of Sydney, is just about to open a new tram network.
Wow, that's wild. And you guys go out into the suburbs too, right? Last time I was here a few years ago, you were telling me about that.
So I think Sydney is quite unique in a way. It's a big city of 4 or 5 million people, but it's bigger than London. When you look at it from a helicopter view, it's spread out. Okay. And therefore there is a lot of travel between parts of the city. And it's also sort of the beautiful natural harbour that prescribes you to really go west, south and north. We're surrounded by mountains, so you can't go too far, but we're seeing big growth in Western Sydney. A brand new international airport will open next year.
Howard, that's awesome. I love the intermodality of the aviation and the buses all coming together. How are you doing on the ridership kind of post-pandemic style?
It really is important to understand. Post-pandemic, what we're seeing is around about 80%, you know, Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays, almost 90%. This changing city where people don't come in every day. But look at the weekends, up 10% on Saturdays, 5% on Sundays. Everyone who's not been into the city Monday to Friday comes in and enjoys what is one of the greatest cities for social life, for visiting, for just walking and just seeing around what is a beautiful place. Sydney is changing. And, you know, we used to think of rail as one business, bus as another, ferry another. My job is to bring that all together. The first thing we did, we stole or we borrowed the London system of the Oyster card and we put in Opal. We were the first city really to close all our ticket offices, make that transaction as seamless as possible. Now 60% of those transactions are on debit and credit card, so even easier. The next thing is about service. We want to have turn up and go, not look at your watch and say the train's coming in 20 minutes time. And with Metro, which has just opened in the last few months, that has transformed. You just get on the platform, the doors open, there's a train, it's driverless, the doors close. Every 3 or 4 minutes, you're moving around the CBD city in a beautiful, modern, you almost can squint your eyes and you'll think you're in Singapore or Hong Kong.
So Sydney's always been considered kind of like a traditional double-deck trains, but what's changing now in the city?
Yeah, well, those older trains and older structure are good heavy lifters. That grew by 40% under being the chief executive under my time. But what we're now seeing is this modern metro-style, global city, world-class approach. And we're just opened the first one right into the CBD. There's another one going out west to the western parts and a further metro to the airport from Western Sydney as well. So this is a completely new technology. This is where we're seeing automatic trains, you know, walk through the whole car, air conditioned, beautifully safe and secure, and really something that Sydney deserves.
That's awesome. We wish you all the best as you continue to grow a world-class city.